women still struggle to feel like they are enough. A lot of the women, when you looked under the hood of what their language was and what they were talking about, they had a core wound of insecurity, personal insecurity that was holding them back from achieving what they wanted.
Welcome to the Wealthy, Wealthy, Wise podcast. If you would like to listen in on thought-provoking conversations with countercultural thought leaders and experts in the fields of wealth, health, and relationships, the 3 keys to having what I call a wealthy, wealthy life, then this is the show for you. I'm Krisstina Wise, real estate investor, best-selling author, Falling for Money, and founder of Wealthy, Wealthy, where I serve as your personal guide to money, health, and happiness. Welcome back to Wealthy, Wealthy, Wise. In this episode, I talk with Susan Bratton. Susan is considered the Dear Abby of hot sex. Now that I have your attention, she is an award-winning speaker. She's an author of Sexual Soulmates. Her personal mantra is couples that play in bed together, stay together. And this was such a fun conversation. She talks about erotic playdates, how to have expanded orgasms. She talks about unknown techniques that if we knew, we could have a lot more fun in the bedroom together. And really her mission is to help keep sex as part of long-term relationships. And so it's fun and it's exciting and novel and new, long into 10, 20, 30 years. And it's a vibrant part and healthy part of a great marriage and relationship. So if you want to learn a little sexual savvy or just get your juices flowing, you'll want to listen to this episode. I hope you enjoy. I am so looking forward to today's conversation, Susan. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So we recently met and I was just taken aback by you. One,
Aww.
You are stunning.
Aww.
You're stunning, beautiful, stunning, but you're stunning because you just walk in your power. You hold your power in just this very feminine, beautiful, strong way. I don't know. You just own who you are that I don't see very often, but in a way that's so loving and genuine and helpful and real. And girl, you're extraordinary. So I really can't wait to get to know you better. And we met recently at JJ Virgin's Unicorn Club Mastermind. So all those listening, do you want to just say a little bit about that? I mean, I had such an amazing time at that event and I didn't know what to expect walking into a room with a bunch of other power women.
I think what's great is that it's very nice to be in a group of people who are all CEOs and leaders of their companies and who are also women. And that's a very rarefied environment, but occurring more and more. And one of the things that I like about it is that, I like mixed gender kinds of things. Don't get me wrong. But when you also get a room full of CEO females, it has a very different dynamic where the masculine tends to be testosterone driven, single focused, territorial. The feminine, estrogen driven, is much more team oriented, collaborative, and multitasking. And so just what happens in a group of female CEOs is an entirely different thing than when you even add one male into the group. And it doesn't necessarily matter where those women are on the gender spectrum, if you will. They could identify as straight or gay or bi or pan or sapiosexual or whatever their gender identity is. But there's still something about being born female-bodied, estrogen-forward, that definitely flavors an experience in a unique way.
So well said. And this was a unique group of female entrepreneur CEOs as well, because this was an invitation-only event of 7-figure business owners.
Yeah.
And so it brought that dynamic as well.
Going to 8.
And going to 8, absolutely. So 7 and 8 for that matter.
Yeah.
And it was a different conversation because I love the fact that we're all there. We're obviously achieving and succeeding at a pretty high level. I mean, any business that's a 7 or 8 figure business is a pretty good business, male or female, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But then to show up, and it was so, like you said, collaborative, but it was real, it was authentic. we didn't even really talk about our successes. We mostly talked about, this is where I'm really fucking things up, or this is where I could use some really good help. So we didn't have to pretend that everything was perfect. We're there actually just to fully be in our power and in our expertise, while at the same time being very humble and vulnerable and real, and talking about real life stuff that, again, that's uncommon to have that type of environment.
You know what I thought was really interesting was that how many women said, we did hot seats and round tables and went around the group and did different kinds of like exercises and experiences and things. And what I've forgotten that I was reminded of was that women still struggle to feel like they are enough. A lot of the women, when you really peeled back, when you looked under the hood of what their language was and what they were talking about, they had a core wound of insecurity, personal insecurity, that was holding them back from achieving what they wanted. There were, what should my brand be? So insecurity around how they were showing up in the world. There were a lot of different, and you might remember a few other ones. And it's funny because I don't have that issue. I'm a very I'm not always self-confident. There are moments when I'm like, and certainly being a sexpert, there are moments when me being who I am triggers the person I'm with, because they come with a bucket full of shame. And just being in my presence as someone who's so comfortable around the subject of sexuality makes them feel uncomfortable. They're like, sex, they get all like weird and jiggly and stuff. And so for me, I do sometimes still have insecurities and fears. We all do, but generally not at the level that I saw some of these 7 and 8 figure businesswomen having somewhat of a, just like dealing with their own head battles. That does not hold me back generally. Mostly I am just like, I'm just like not even aware of what it's like to not feel fully confident and being like, here's what we're doing. This is the strategy. And, let's make it happen. And this is our deadline and we're going to meet it. And, I've grown up in the Silicon Valley. I've worked with Harvard and Stanford MBAs. I've had to work in the toughest, most competitive corporate environments, and it's tempered me. And and if I've gotten through that, I can get through anything. So running my small business exactly how I want it is so easy for me in comparison to dealing with a boardroom full of sausages, that those things don't even enter my mind. And when I went to this women's only event, I thought to myself, wow, this is what women get up and struggle with, self-worth in their leadership, when it doesn't even dawn on me. And it gave me pause to remember that women struggle with that.
Yeah. And I think when I say you walk in your power, that's so obvious. Like you do, you just stand in your power, and it shows up as just confidence in who you are, the work that you're doing. And there's no apology for that. And there's you just show up. Yeah. And it is rare. And I was really attracted to that. And again, and you just own your beauty, you own your strength, you own your knowledge, your expertise, and you just show up that way. So pretty much exactly what you're saying. And you don't see that very often. And it doesn't show up as any type of arrogance or anything close to that. In fact, quite the opposite. And you really are such a good example of owning the power and confidence without any arrogance or bullshit or apology at the same time.
I think part of the reason is that I'm also even though I'm like a balls out leader, I'm also a motherly person, a nurturing person. I don't know why, but most of my closest friends are adopted because I'm motherly and nurturing. And also because I feel so confident and I work from a base of power, it's easy for me to be, once you're in abundance and you're not coming from lack, it's easy to be interested in coming from the perspective of giving. It becomes second nature to be like, what can I do to help you? How do you need to be supported? And so I think the being in abundance and being support other people mindset also tempers the I'm good and I'm confident and I'm a leader. And then you balance that with also the fact that people love a pretty woman, and everybody's beautiful. I'm saying, even if you don't think you're pretty, you are. The only reason you're not is because you're not showing up as pretty. Pretty is a mindset. Beauty is a mindset. Sexy is a mindset. And when I started to, because I've always been the only woman in the boardroom for my entire life, I started working in high tech in the 80s. I always wanted to be as pretty and beautiful as I could, as feminine as I could, and to take full advantage of all of my feminine wiles, and not wiles in a bad way, not wiles in a manipulative way, but wiles in a seductive, persuasive, desirable way. When you begin to play full out as a sexy, empowered woman who's also confident that you have figured out everything that has happened bad to you in the world, and you have come through it, and whatever happens in the future, you're going to figure that out too. And you get to that point of being like not afraid of the future, knowing that whatever life deals in its hand to you in the moment, you'll handle. And you get that longevity of looking at yourself and trusting that you will. When you can come from both the feminine and the masculine in your complete self, then, and you feel confident that you're in abundance and you're there to also support others, it's a good combination. It works. That's a nice combination of benefit. I think about JJ Virgin, our friend who connected us. She's that way too. She's as beautiful and feminine. She looks like the embodiment of a goddess. She is a Greek goddess. She's also incredibly smart and competent and confident. And she's also in her giving mind. She likes to take all of us and move us all forward into our power. And I think that's that same expression that is what makes her so desirable. And so if anything, a woman who might be listening to us now, who is saying to herself, oh, I see. If I just play full out on all of those aspects of myself, that actually makes me so attractive that I get so many opportunities that I have to turn things down because so many things are laid at my feet because that woman is so desirable.
You know, that is so well said. And confidence is sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Be a woman that's confident and just owns who she is so damn sexy. And I think that is the sexiness that comes out, and that is a beauty. And you can have maybe physically the most beautiful woman, but when they don't have the confidence or the self-esteem, it detracts from that power, the beauty that is the power, and the power that's the beauty. Anyway, you just rock that. And so
thank you, darling.
It was just so great for the opportunity to meet you and get to know you and have you on the podcast. So thank you for your time. Now I'd love to really dig in.
Can I give you a quick reflection too? So my husband was with me, even though it was a women's event. We were there together because we'd had some business before and after it. And so he breezed in and out a few times, Tim. And he met almost every woman there between the comings and goings. And it was very sweet because he said, I really like Krisstina Wise. She is extremely good at finance. She really knows what she's doing. And though he loves everyone and he is the most kind and gentle and positive man you could possibly imagine, he is also one who doesn't necessarily think that there are that many people who are very sharp. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but he is a genius. He is a brilliant man. I married up and I married very well. And he had a conversation with you and was extremely impressed by you. And it is unusual for him to say, I was really impressed by that person. And he was impressed by you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to give you that reflection back.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, let's jump into your expertise. And this is the first time on my podcast that this subject has been talked about. So, and you are the leader in this space.
Yes.
And so as you mentioned, and most of my listeners know, that my background and my expertise is money. And so,
which I love, by the way. Money,
Thank
money,
you.
money.
Money, money, money.
I love to make money, and I love to give people money that need money. So I support a massive number of people. And that's one of the things that drives me to make money. And one of the reasons I love my husband is that he's good at managing money. I like to make it, but I don't like to manage it. And that's one of the things you're good at, is teaching people how to get to the point where they have enough money coming in that they can have the freedom that they need, and that their money is well managed, so that will continue.
And well said. And it takes both. It's making money and getting good at making money and feeling good about making money. And then the other second ingredients is being damn good at managing it. So to have a partnership like you all have, where you're both good at both of those, is really the magic formula. And so, but in the money business, basically, people have a lot of shame about money. I've often said that two of the most important things to talk about and get good at are sex and money. And what are the two things that people don't talk about and don't get good at? Sex and money. So I'm so excited to talk to you about the sex side of this. And so I have my reasons on the money side why people don't talk about it. But why is this thing about sex, especially in today's day and age where sex is everywhere? Why in our behind closed doors and in our individual lives, why is sex still such a difficult topic to just bring it in and talk about it?
Yeah, it's religion. Almost all of it is religion. And then that permeates and shames people. And then the second thing is lack of information, lack of knowledge, lack of education. And even with the internet, what's happened is pornography. And pornography is, Time magazine did an article on pornography and the pervasiveness of it, and quoted a study where they looked at something like 1,000. They took 1,000 random samples of porn from all different categories and genres, and said that 96% of it showed degradation to women in the video. And so what happens is you have people who have been religiously repressed, culturally repressed, repressed by their families, shamed, sexually abused, both men and women. It is prevalent. The Homo sapiens species is incestual. People are, because of the shame and the repression, they will take advantage of children who are in their families. The most common kind of abuse is incestual abuse of young men and women. And then you add, of course, on all the the religious abuse, sexual abuse. Now, this is big case of the priests in Pennsylvania, and, it's where I'm from. And there's just all that we have to overcome with no good information out there except mine and tons of other great sexperts. And so what you see now is that there are a lot of people getting into sex education, sexology, teaching consent, the Me Too movement. There's a lot more awareness, Tantra teachers. There's just so much more awareness of the fact that there's a difference between sex like you see in porn, which is disconnected, part of the white male patriarchy, degrading to women, and completely shot for the titillation of men. And what's interesting about it is that for our species to replicate, we really are designed, number one, as these wriggling tubes on planet Earth who are put here to biologically continue to replicate our species, to the detriment of all the other species on the planet. It's a runaway problem. These wriggling tubes are eating to keep going, but what they're doing is the food that they consume is just so they can replicate themselves. And so that's what we are when you kind of look at a macro perspective. And so that now all the tubes are watching porn that's degrading women, because the male tubes need to keep their sperm topped off to propagate their species and their progeny. And so the male-bodied tubes, they need masturbation to keep the sperm topped off, to keep the pipes running clean. And so pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry that preys on the male-bodied tubes so that they have something to keep so something to masturbate to. And so they design the visuals such that it appeals to the masculine primal eye, and that is why you have what you have on porn. It's completely manipulative. And so it's no different than alcohol, gambling. These are dopamine driven abuse systems where guys now can't even get erect for a regular woman because they've blown out their dopamine receptors and they're watching more and more hardcore porn. And it's like an arms race of the pornography industry. It's just unbelievable what's happening in society. And what I am about is I can't fix any of that. It's a disaster and it's only going to get worse and kinkier and weirder and, all that stuff. But what I do is I teach passionate lovemaking techniques. I teach bedroom communication skills. I teach sexual health and longevity techniques and concepts. And I teach you how to connect in passion, how to get oxytocin, how to regulate your systems through, love and hug. Like my latest book I just came out with is called The Soulmate Embrace. It's about how to hold and be held because people don't even know how to do that. And so that's a little bit of my soapbox, but that's kind of where I am in the world as I teach you how to be a lover and how to enter into a divine pleasure state with your partner.
So let me ask you this then, that are men going towards porn because they're not getting it at home? Let's assuming that they're in a romantic relationship of sorts. It's one thing if they're single and that, but this is happening in marriages. It's happening in relationships. And so they're masturbating to porn and they may or may not be getting in the bedroom. So how does one compete with the porn industry inside their own bedroom?
Well, number one is that men are going to masturbate whether they have sex with their wives or girlfriends or not. That is a separate system. They need to. They should be. It's good for them, except for the few on the ends of the bell curve who are depleted by masturbation. There are some men for whom it doesn't work well, and those are men who need to practice semen retention. There are women for whom when they have an orgasm, it depletes them too, and they're not weird or unusual. The orgasmic response in our Homo sapien species is really just a bell curve like everything. I know I love you are good at statistics and metrics, so I can talk about things like bell curves and you know what I mean. So when you are with a partner and you wonder if they're masturbating to porn, it is likely that they are. And that should not make you feel any less or any weird. The only thing that you want to watch out for is that they don't become addicted to it to the point where they can know where they've lost their stamina or they can't gain an erection because they're blowing out their dopamine. They're overly reliant on it, just like someone who's an alcoholic versus someone who enjoys a glass of wine. It's a spectrum. How you can compete with porn, more about how you can surrender to your own pleasure in the bedroom. If you want to be a really great wife or girlfriend to a man, what a man is biologically driven to want to do is give you incredible pleasure. He wants to make sure you're fully satisfied, so you'll keep the kitchen open for him. And he wants to get regular sex, often more sex than you do. Now, again, libidos are on the bell curve, all things being equal. If someone's health is bad, that changes things because your sexual health is your vitality. And if your vitality is diminished, your sexual health is diminished. So if you don't feel like having sex, it's often a health issue. If it hasn't been an issue of, like if you want it and you don't, that's usually adrenal fatigue, hormonal imbalances, insulin issues, stuff like that, if you don't actually have a specifically known sickness. So you got to work on your blood sugar regulation. You got to work on your nutrition. You got to work on your circulation, get some exercise. Good food and exercise are the things you need to keep yourself healthy if you already are. That's just what they are. You can't have good orgasms if you don't have a good circulation. You've got as much erectile tissue inside your clitoral and vulval structure as a man does in his penis. So circulation is really, really key to sexual pleasure. But what a guy wants because testosterone is a horny little devil of a hormone. And so he needs regular sex, but you deserve regular sex. And so a part of what's important for you to do as the woman in a relationship is to keep yourself sexually, you want your sexual desire to be high. You want to request what you need in your relationship with your partner so that you want him or her. I support people across the gender spectrum. So when I say him, I'll just say him and her to keep it simple, because if I start saying they, which is the politically correct thing, it's just like freaking confusing. So we can say that when I say him, it's the masculine and her is the feminine. And if you switch, that's fine too. And then we've got that out of the way. And so your job, just like it's your job to stay healthy, it's your job to stay sexually vital in your relationship, not just for your partner, more for you, because there are incredible benefits to you having heart-connected sex, lots of touch and love, and great orgasms. And also, there are incredible benefits to the semen your partner delivers into your vaginal mucosa during intercourse. You get testosterone, which keeps you like ballsy and kick ass. Your semen is literally a testosterone injection for you as a woman. Just say that if you got a couple of testosterone injections a week, imagine how badass you'd be versus the woman who doesn't. It keeps your tissues in good condition. It keeps you turned on. It keeps you happy. It has serotonin. It has luteinizing hormones to keep your menses regular and your cycles regular. And if you're postmenopausal, you're still a cyclical woman. You still follow the moon. And so it's these kinds of things that keep you grounded and comfortable. If you've ever seen a woman who is like high strung and, she knocks the glass over on the table and, she's always a little nervous and tight. She's very tight and, hard. And that's a woman who needs to be made love to more. She needs to be softened and opened and released and relaxed and calmed down. And that's what good sex does. It makes mama happy.
I love that. And would it be fair to say that it's like what we talked about at the very beginning, that it's like walking into the boardroom or just walking through just in your power, in your confidence. And it's incredibly attractive across the board, non-sexual and it's just an attractiveness that to see that, especially a woman in her power and confidence. Would it be fair to say that same thing in the bedroom? Would there be anything more seductive to the man you're with than just to own that power and own that seductiveness and to own that confidence and just be fully present? That you take it, it's equal outside of the bedroom, just in life in general, but especially in the bedroom with your mate.
I would say confidence can sometimes be intimidating to men unless you're very close, they know you well, and they know that about you, which I think for you, a lot of the women who listen to your show because you're such a confident, badass woman, they probably can get away with it with their part. But there are women who are with partners who that would scare them. So let me give you a couple of reframes on that would help a guy relax and feel more confident and therefore feel like he's pleasuring you better. So one would be surrendered to your pleasure and willing to let go and really enjoy yourself. That's the number one key to making your partner happy in the bedroom, your male-bodied partner or your masculine partner, because he wants to really give you incredible pleasure and satisfy you. So he gets invited back. And so it's less about confidence and more about joy and surrender and pleasure and connection. You said presence and you were right on there. When a woman is up in her head, which is what estrogen does. Estrogen makes it hard for you to stop thinking about the millions of things that you can keep your eye on. Estrogen is always like looking for, it's like reticular activation system. Is there danger? Is there danger? Is there danger? Is there danger? What am I missing? What's breaking? What do I need to do next? What did I screw up? It's always doing that. Where testosterone, when it's in the bedroom, it's like, I'm gonna have sex now. So if you can get more in the I'm gonna have sex now, And just get out of your mind. So bringing yourself, presence is a practice, especially for women. So the more you can bring yourself back to your sensation, bring yourself back to touch, connection, skin on skin, mouth on mouth, penis in vagina, if that's your flavor, all those things. When you're feeling the pleasure, that's what makes him happy. That's number one. Number two is he wants to be wanted. It goes back to he needs to be invited back. He wants to make sure he's got an adequate supply of sex in his future, or he gets edgy and worried. He gets disconnected because for him, sex is much more simple. And so if he knows he's wanted, that makes him relax and love having sex with you. So if you're not worried about how your butt looks, or if you have cellulite, if you're not worried about the thing you have to do tomorrow, or the thing you did yesterday, if you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the present, you are not worried about what things look like, and you're having a good time and you're connecting with him, and there's an interplay in the moment like we're doing right now. We're totally present with each other. That's when it gets fun for him. But when it gets really fun for him is not just when you have incredible pleasure, when you have lots of orgasms with him and it feels really good, but when you want him, when he feels desired and needed, when you jump on top of him and ride him like a cowgirl and get off on him and you use him as a tool. Oh man, he knows he's wanted then. He's like, yep, she wants me. She likes this. She likes what I got. And then he knows you're having a good time and he's in.
I love that. And it is. Now, on that note, it's one thing and you're in a newer relationship and obviously the hormones are going crazy and the novelty and all of that. What about you and Tim have been married for how long?
25 years.
So how do you keep that going?
What Tim and I do, and this is the technique that works for hot monogamy, is that the couples that stay together, play together, especially in the bedroom. That's one of my favorite phrases because everybody's like, right? That's yes. Everybody's in agreement with that. What we do is we schedule sex. And everybody's like, scheduled sex? That's not spontaneous. That's not fun. Well, believe me, once we get in their bedroom and we lock the door and the music's on and the lighting is nice and we got a pitcher of water and some watermelon and cherries and I'm wearing some lingerie and he's giving me a massage, we are in the moment. It is fun and it is totally spontaneous from then. So number one, scheduled sex. And I schedule it because I manage the calendar. And I carve out those hours of precious time every week. And that's what we do. And there are weeks we don't have sex. There are weeks we're freaking busy, man. You're traveling through Asia on trains or whatever, and you're exhausted, whatever it is. So, we do that. We try to have sex twice a week. That's kind of my goal is 2 lovemaking dates a week. We don't always hit it. Sometimes we have more. But we make love for hours. And I don't mean intercourse for hours. I mean, we play together in the bedroom. We do lots of things that get us warmed up because for women, we need to slowly let everything go away so that we can get into our bodies, connect, remember our sexual selves, be in the delight of the moment and be there with our man and enjoy ourselves. And it takes us men and women, it takes us a long time to get all of our tissues fully engorged so that sex feels great. So if you try to rush it, it doesn't work. So that's why the chunks of time blocked on the calendar are number one. And number two, we never stop learning together. One of the things that we've been working on lately, we're always learning new techniques. We're always learning just new things. We're just trying new things. So we have an expanded orgasm practice we've done for the last 14 years. We try to do that all the time and make that better. Just recently, we've been experimenting with some G-spot pleasuring toys. For pretty much the entire time, I've been a sexpert now. I've reinvented myself. I was a Silicon Valley executive. And then I had this, crisis in our intimate marriage and we were going to get divorced. And we're like, we can't get divorced just because we're not having sex. We got to fix that. So let's go learn how to have good sex. And that's what we did. And when we learned how to have good sex, we're like, oh my God, it's so easy to have good sex if you know what you're doing. let's start a company and teach people how to have good sex. And that's how Personal Life Media was created. And that's how he became a sexpert, focused on passionate lovemaking techniques, not a psychologist or a therapist or someone who's going to fix your problems. I'm the plus up. I'm the like, how do we make it sexy? I'm the one who's like, what are erotic playdates? How do you learn new things? What is an expanded orgasm skill? How can we have female ejaculation? How can you become a multi-orgasmic man? We have learned all these techniques over time, and that's how we've developed all of the programs that we offer on our, in our business. We teach sexy sex ed to singles and couples around the world through online home study courses. That's what we do. So we're always doing research and learning new things. And just in the last month, what we've been experimenting with were these G-spot pleasuring tools, because your hands and arms can get tired from pleasuring. Women have a vast capacity for ejaculatory bliss. And so I'd always thought, I don't want a toy that comes in between the heart connection. But there's a point where you can have really erotic, heart-connected sex. And then there's also times when it's just fun to play with toys in the bedroom. And so that's what we've been working on lately. So we have what we call erotic playdates, where we set aside time to begin as beginners and learn something new together. And in 25 years now, the first 10, when we didn't do those things, our sex life went from new relationship energy to flatline, barely could resuscitate. Then we resuscitated it, learned skills, and it's been on what I call the upward pleasure spiral ever since.
And that's extraordinary. But what I love, what you just said, was that you're still beginners. You're still playing. You're still discovering. And you would think after 20 plus years, that would be impossible. Like, wouldn't you have tried everything and been there, done that? And what an inspiration to say, oh my gosh, the learning can continue forever. I mean, there's no age thing here. And what about women, especially when they're starting to encroach, towards menopause and or get to that age? And maybe those natural tendencies, or even menopause tends to tell women like, oh, the sex drive is over.
Well, first of all, if you believe that menopause is the end of your sex life, then that's just a limiting belief, because around the world for most women, menopause is the beginning of their really fun sex life, because they don't have to worry about getting pregnant anymore. So menopause in the traditions of women has always been the beginning of their what you call the crone, which is the goddess archetype, the I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I love my body at this point. I'm not beating myself up anymore. It is what it is, and I am going to use it all the way up until the day I die. I don't want anything left. Let's just take advantage of it. As far as people who have maybe hormonal dips where they have the experience of wanting to supplement with estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, I am a big proponent in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy for many reasons. Brain fog, so cognitive function for me is number one reason why I take bioidentical. And bioidentical is non-pharmaceutical compounded hormones that allow you to get from any functional integrative kind of Dr. Voredo medicine. There's all kinds of people who can prescribe this for you. That is really valuable for skin elasticity, for all kinds of circulatory function. There's just a ton of things that estrogen does, and testosterone and progesterone in balance, along with your adrenals, thyroid, and other things that you have to have tested. It's not just estrogen. And even as a woman, if you are someone who's susceptible to breast cancer and you're concerned about estrogen, there are many other things you can do and workarounds you can do to balance your hormones. And so you should just work with a doctor on that. Number two, when you do feel potentially not just the kind of like vaginal sensitivity, I know there was a point about a year ago where the entrance to my vagina during intercourse felt like someone had like sprinkled broken glass in there. And even on a full complement of bioidentical hormone, I could not solve the pain problem. And I ended up going in and having a stack of 3 vaginal rejuvenation techniques that saved my bacon. They gave me, they literally dialed back my vulva, which, you can call it a vagina, but vagina is really just the canal part. Your entire feminine genital system is called a vulva. We could also call it the yoni, which is a beautiful Sanskrit word that's used a lot in tantric lovemaking for a woman's vagina or vulva. So I'll use yoni and vulva kind of interchangeably instead of vagina, so you know what I'm talking about. I had vaginal rejuvenation. I had 3 things done. And the first thing I had done was a laser that's basically inserted up into the vaginal canal, and it does micro damaging of the subcutaneous tissue. And that brings growth factors and collagen and thickens the tissue again. Because as you age, the tissue becomes, how your skin ages and it becomes thin. Well, that thickens it up again. The pain went away with the first treatment. And I did a series of 5, and I had a second thing done, which was external on my labia. It's a sound healing therapy. It works with that kind of tissue. It also works with, if your husband or your partner is having any erectile dysfunction, the sound healing also works for him. It's another tissue micro injury technology that firms it up. So it gives you almost like a vagina lift or a vulva lift or a yoni lift. It's like, woo, it looks like it's 30 again. And then I also had a third procedure, which was purely for pleasure, which is called the O shot or orgasm shot. And the O shot is where they take your blood out of your vein. They put it in a centrifuge. They take out the PRP, and PRP, which stands for platelet-rich plasma, is the same technology they use to shoot into your hip joints and your shoulder joints and things like that for regeneration of your own body's soft tissues from aging or injury. And I had it in my clitoris as well. And the needle in your clitoris does not hurt amazingly because they numb it, as well as in my G spot, which I like to call a G area because it's a whole area of your vaginal canal. It's not just one little pinpoint, although sometimes for some women they have one spot that feels really good. It's an entire area. And then that gave me back even more sensation. You don't realize as you age how much tissue loss and sensation loss you have in the natural way of aging. And I'm 57, and my orgasms were better than they've ever been. And I'm multi-orgasmic, and I can orgasm from many types of stimulation. But when I got that O shot, that Femi Lift, and that Revive by Viora, that stack, my orgasm sensation increased. My pleasure increased again. I'd forgotten what I lost. And I was like, wow, this is how it used to feel when I was 35. So I'm a big proponent, if you can afford it and you care, which I can and I do, to take care of not just, I've had Fraxels done on my face and my chest to get rid of age spots. Well, I'd give up. I don't know if I would. I don't want to have to. I'm just make enough money so I can have it all, right? I love being on a money podcast where I can actually talk about the fact that I like to make money and buy myself treatments,
It's the whole reason for making money. Exactly. Is to be able to do these things. And you said that. And so true. We go and we get Fraxel on our face and for anti-aging and maybe get a few injections, get some eyelashes, just these different things just to, as we age. And why not? Why are we not even aware that maybe some of these other technologies exist?
That's all it is. It's just that it's brand new. And that's my job, is to just be out there talking about it because I'm such a proponent of them.
And I love you say, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And this is all just part of kind of anti-aging that we're all looking to do through the supplements we take and through the, like you said, the bioidentical hormones and these different technologies that are available to us today to allow us to not only live longer, but to look good and feel good as we do.
If you're listening to this, you can't see us, but I also drink basically this smoothie every morning that has all kinds of great things for my cognitive function, my general health, and my sexual health. So I take maca, Tonkat Ali, I take brain octane. I have a whole stack of things. And I drink, that's what I said when we got on. I was like, I'm drinking the sludge, Krisstina, but I drink it every morning because it is, I do the internal. I went for a walk. I drank my sludge. I do what I need to do to keep myself robust in every aspect of my life, because part of my persona is looking beautiful. Part of my persona is learning about more pleasure techniques. And part of my world is taking care of a giant sled of people. I'm a husky pulling a sled of people whose families I support in my business. And I got to keep myself beautiful inside and out, healthy inside and out, or I can't support the people that I want to support. My mother, I'm supporting so many people in so many ways. The philanthropies we donate to and all of the things we do. We've got a kid in college. I know if you're listening, you can relate. You are a person who is delivering so much benefit to so many people. And so a part of it for you is also take care of your sexuality, because if you're letting that drift, you can always get it back. But if you keep it up, it's just as important as the exercise that you do and the other things that you're doing with your Fraxels and your fillers.
So you said your age, number one.
Yeah, 57.
People can't see you, but I'm going to post a picture of us from JJ's event. But
okay, good.
You are stunning. I mean, never in a million years would I ever guess you're even close to 57, but age is irrelevant, really. But what about women? The mindset thinking, as I age, I'm no longer beautiful.
Man. My mom is 80 and she's so pretty. I think you just have to be beautiful at every age. You could die tomorrow. You could drop dead tonight in your sleep. What are you going to do? You got to get up every day. This is what I tell my mom. You get up every day and you make this day the best, most fun day you had. You get up, you look pretty, you take care of yourself, you eat your vegetables, you go on your walk, you do your things, and you freaking love life. You savor life. You have a great day. If you're having a great day and you're gorgeous, everybody's going to be looking at you like, I want what she has. That's the answer. Dying is inevitable. Aging is inevitable. Anytime you start to feel like, oh, I'm old, you start hanging out with some young people. You start stepping up a bit. You just put yourself out there. Young people keep you young. You keep yourself young. If you are with people who are half your age, they're lucky to be with you because you know so much more than they do. They don't care if you've got some wrinkly skin. They don't even think about it. What people notice is how you make them feel. And how you make them feel directly is related to how you show up in the world.
Awesome. And again,
I love a soapbox, don't I?
I know. And I love your soapbox. And again, if people could see you, like the way you just walk into a room in your presence, and age is irrelevant for you. I mean, you just, like I said, you are stunning. You are a showstopper. I mean, you walk in and everybody's eyes turn to the right and say, holy shit, who is that woman? She's extraordinarily beautiful and stunning. And you can tell from the inside out. It's not just this facade on the outside.
I don't even think it's the way I look. I mean, yes, you can't negate the fact that I'm 6 feet tall. And I dye my hair blonde and I put in extensions and it's long. And, I do all those kinds of fun things that are like the external package that makes you want to look at me. When I put all that together, like right now I'm in my yoga thing and I don't have all my hair in, fillers in and all that, my hair extensions and all those things. You see the real me today. And I know you can't see it if you're listening to us, but, I look like a reasonably attractive middle-aged woman. It's fine. But when you get all that going on and you walk into the room, it isn't even about how you look. It's about the energy you are emanating. It is about your vibrational frequency. It is about, hey, I'm here. Let's play. What are you guys doing? How do we co-create some magic today? It's that is the attractive part. It is not how you look. You could be the tiniest little thing. You could be anything, overweight, this thing, pimples, blah, blah, blah. It's just how you show up energetically.
I mean, and I think that's the message. That is so true. So again, you and Tim have been married for 23?
25 years together for 27.
Okay. So what comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg, or is it a combination of both? Meaning, is it the bedroom and the sexuality and the energy and that really facilitates. And I mean, I've seen you two together. You guys love each other. I mean, it's as though you've been together for a year, 2 years, I mean, I can just see the way you look at each other. You completely adore one another. I mean, he speaks your virtues. You can just see he looks at you and he's so proud to be with you, and vice versa. And you would never know you've been together this long. I mean, it's beautiful. You're beautiful. It's beautiful to see you two together. And I had the privilege of that. And it's just so uncommon. And you're in your strength and he's in his strength. And the two of you together is, again, it's power, it's beauty, it's all those different things. So is it the relationship that keeps the sex alive? Is it the sex that keeps the relationship alive? Or what's the combo? What's the formula?
We call ourselves Team Sweetie. We have each other's back in everything. I feel personally responsible for giving him the best life he possibly can. Men really like it when their woman encourages them and in a way almost challenges them. The testosterone likes a challenge. And so one of the reasons why my husband loves me so much is that I show him what he is possible, what he is capable of. And one of the reasons that I love him so much is that he creates a stable, secure platform for me to let the wind lift me and to soar to my greatest heights. And so we both own the responsibility to each other to care for, nurture, and support each other. So that's number one. Number two is a lot of affection and touching and connection and fun. That's really important as well. So I think those two things. Can you have an incredible relationship without sex? You can, but why would you? Why would you do that? Why would you not try to have it all? I am a hungry for life woman. I want everything. I want fabulous wealth so I can make even greater good for more people. I want incredible health so I can have incredible energy to do even more amazing things in the world. And part of that is the health is your sexuality. And so not to focus on it and to let it slip by you is letting go of something that is so fundamental to your possibility. And so if you have let your sex life go, and I was recently talking to someone who is a sex coach. And I said, and she was divorced. And I said, so do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or, who's your partner now? Who's your lover? And she said, no, I don't have anybody right now. And she said, I just can't find anybody who's really a good boyfriend. I just haven't found anybody who kind of like meets all my needs. And I was like, well, then take a lover. And she said, take a lover? I can't do that. I would have a lot of shame around just having a lover. And I'm like, you'd have shame around having a lover? First of all, you need to be having sex if you're a sex coach. And if you can't find the perfect guy that checks all the boxes that you need for getting all of your needs met, find the guy that your body loves, who is a man of integrity and respect, who turns you on, and have sex with him and have a great time and love him completely and totally for what he brings to your life and the incredible pleasure you two can co-create. And she was like, oh, well, I never really thought about that. And I think a lot of women, even a sex coach never gave herself the permission to have sex without it being the whole package. And I cannot tell you how many people I say, hey, if you don't have the perfect boyfriend or girlfriend, just go find a lover. And there are so many people who'd be like, I'd love to have a lover. Even if, I'm raising my children right now. I don't have time for a full-time thing or whatever. Why not just have somebody who you have a sex date with once a week where you have incredible pleasure together? Just give yourself the opportunity to enjoy your sexuality, or do some solo play and enjoy pleasuring yourself and get really good at giving yourself orgasmic pleasure so that when you do get a partner, you are ready and really good at orgasms and fun, and you love your body and you're not afraid of it and it works for you and you're confident. You don't have performance anxiety and all that stuff. So no matter what is going on for you, I always believe there are workarounds and compromises for everything. Oh, well, my husband has ED. He can't get it up. Well, there's a million things you can do with a soft penis. And penis and vagina, including going and getting all those rejuvenation techniques I've been talking about, like the Gaines wave and the P shot. There's a P shot, just like there's an O shot that puts a whole bunch of growth factors into that erectile tissue for guys and helps them restore their erectile function. And then start feeding him a healthy fat diet and getting him out on a walk every day, because it's circulation and low blood, sugar regulation and adrenal, fortitude that make you good in bed. And so there's so many things you can do to take back your sexual self, that it's just knowing these kinds of things so that you can get started.
Yeah. And I think you and I, we talked shortly about this, and you had even admitted that and you did even on this podcast as well, that you and Tim had reached a point where it was business and the relationship was business, but even there was business in the bedroom. And I know that was a big factor of my marriage falling apart. I'm recently divorced, and same thing. We were good at making money together. We're good at this business thing. We're good at cohabitating. But the zest for life, the sexuality, that energy, that juice, that playfulness, that excitement had dissipated. And even though it was comfortable and even though it was secure in a way, it was missing life like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so that really, at the end of the day, disintegrated the marriage. I mean, we could have stayed in for the long haul and said, yeah, we've been married for 30, 40 years and we should get an award for that. But why, in a sense? Like, isn't that what this like the love relationships are about, is full expression and passion. And that doesn't have to end with age. It doesn't have to end with time together. But if it just does turn into a business, or it's just for security reasons, I think it does take both. And I think what you had talked, that you and Tim had reached a certain place where we're great at business together. We're great at making money. We're great at these different parts, but let's get divorced if this is it. Like, this isn't satisfying. This isn't fulfilling.
I wish I had known you before you got divorced, because I could have definitely helped you reverse that. I think most couples, if they're happy with all of the other things that are going on, that how to rekindle your passion is not hard at all.
Mm-hmm.
But just nobody's teaching it. And I mean, you know what the biggest issue is? I'm teaching it, but I can't buy any ads on Facebook because Facebook's allergic to sex. So
it's allergic to money also, by the way.
It's allergic to sex, it's allergic to money, and it's allergic to health. And so I can't buy advertising. I mean, the reason my business constraint is traffic. All my funnels work. All my customers are happy. I've got a fabulous company. And what keeps me in irons, my Achilles heel, is I can't buy any I just can't get traffic to my business. I mean, it's very, very difficult for me. So, I do a million different things to do it, including things like podcasts, so that people can discover me. Like, I like that Susan Bratton. I'm going to go to her website, which, by the way, is betterlover.com. And also I have one at personallifemedia.com. And I hope you'll put that in the notes under the podcast.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure everybody listening is going to find you. And so what you're saying to that is, if anybody's listening, they're in a marriage where otherwise the marriage is pretty good, but the sexual flame is gone and neither partner are happy there. It's like, you can help them.
I got a pilot light. The pilot light is still on. I got a match for you. I can get that flame going again.
So let's talk a little bit. I'm sure some listening. Go ahead. Okay. So, we're running up against our time together. So just a couple more questions. People will have to find you to actually learn the full spectrum of what you teach in the bedroom. Yeah. But what might be a technique or two that you can leave the listeners with, as far as something that maybe they haven't thought of or that they are not aware of?
I'm going to give you the number one technique as my final goodbye. And that is, it's at Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT, like an agreement, sexualsoulmatepact.com. This is probably the single biggest thing that I can give you to help you either now or in the future when you have a partner, have really great, satisfying sex. And it's a bedroom communication technique. And I'm going to shortcut it for you here. And then you can go to sexualsoulmatepact.com and download it. It's an ebook, a very small one with the technique inside. But basically what it does is it makes an agreement in a certain way that allows your partner to love getting feedback from you, and you feel totally comfortable telling your partner what you want in any given moment. And it helps you understand what it is you want, so you can tell your partner or communicate it to them in a couple of different ways, and they get it. And then you start getting a level of pleasure you've never gotten before. And that's even if what you want changes every day, which it does, because that's how
we're women.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. So one final question I like to ask all my guests. And through my podcast, I like to do a little bit of myth busting, because we're following these rules that have been pre-written that many of us haven't even thought about to think if they're true or not. We've just bought into them or adopted them. Mm-hmm. So with what you see every day and through your work, and especially in this sexuality category, what is a myth that you would like to bust, that you just see people that think that's true and you just want to call bullshit on it?
Well, that new relationship energy fades and sex goes downhill over time. That women have trouble with sex during menopause or don't want it anymore, or their libido dries up. That you have to find a person who meets every single one of your long frigging laundry list of needs before you can have sex with them. That a condom keeps you from getting STIs, which it doesn't. So I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, which is, you just go to betterlover.com. It'll take you there, about how to keep yourself safe if you are going to have sex with people. That when you're older, sex isn't important. It is, and you're horny till the day you die if you're healthy and happy. Those are some good ones.
Those are awesome. All right, girl. Well, you've been amazing. I so appreciate your time. Obviously, I mean, in the show notes, I'll put links to all your stuff. I know everybody is just going to be like, where do I find Susan? Like, I'm not even going to, I'm hanging up now and I'm going to go to your website. Anyway, you're extraordinary. Thank you for the work that you do and who you are. And I'm just so honored that I got the opportunity to meet you, and I look forward to getting to know you better, and let's continue these conversations.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
And so ends another episode of the Wealthy Life podcast, where Krisstina brings you unconventional, cutting-edge strategies from leading experts to optimize your wealth and your health. As a token of gratitude for listening, go to podcast.fallingformoney.com and download a free copy of her best-selling book, Falling for Money. If you're ready to change your relationship with money, head on over to podcast.fallingformoney.com and download your free copy today.